Hello, everybody, and welcome to another interview with the series of Let's Talk Business by the JCI European Senate. This time we have Andreas Zeitz from Augsburg, JCI Senator, as our guest. My name is Temelko Dechev.
And I'm Kaija Silaraja.
And we start with the first question directly. It's not a question, it's more like an invitation for him to present his consulting company that he's been developing for a few decades, I would say. He's been engaged in that activity, and he will tell us more about it now. Please, Andreas.
Yeah, good evening. My name is, as you already introduced, Andreas. My number is 75948, and I have been in consulting more than 22 years now. It's in former times it was called Navision. Now it's called Business Central, which is a mid-size ERP solution, and I have done implementations all across Europe. From the most eastern part, which was Moscow, the most northern part, which has been, or which is still, of course, Stockholm. Southern part in my entire career has been Tenerife, and the most western part was not even in Europe. It was in New Jersey, which is United States. And I had also stints all across Europe, Scandinavia, United Kingdom for several times. And then in the so-called DACH region, which is Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. And this is mainly I'm doing implementation, training, consulting, no programming. So I strictly avoid this. And I'm also a German accountant. So I'm also closing books for companies as an interim CFO, which is also sometimes very challenging because you have these auditors which you always have to argue with, but it's good to know the system inside out then.
It is. And we've been sharing, the three of us, before the start of the interview, that you also have quite like huge and kind of naturally flowing interest in history and gardening and other things. So you're welcome to share more during the interview about this. Now, Kaija, please, you also start with the first question to Andreas.
I will go more to JCI. And would you tell us about more? How did you find about JCI, and how was your first step to JCI, let's say so?
Yeah, it was in 2004. So I tried to build up a network, and I got a recommendation from a lady who is also a former JCI active member here in Augsburg. And then I presented myself in front of a chapter board here in Augsburg. It was, as I said, in 2004, and I immediately started to visit a German National Conference in Frankfurt, which was also quite impressive to see around 1,000 people coming together.
When was that? Which year?
2004.
2004.
And in 2005, I became an active member. We have a probation time here in Augsburg, so half a year, testing the members out. And also the members are testing out the chapter, if they fit in, if they are really engaged in doing project work. We don't want to have these so-called, in German, Karteileichen, which means you have a dead member actually only in your books. Yeah. And and this is the way how we get people in here. So usually today we have 2-3 times a year a presentation of our chapter. So interested people coming in, and we present ourselves. Also JCI, of course, all the activities which are possible, either locally, then in Bavaria, and then in Germany, and then also worldwide.
So can you tell us how JCI, from the international context that it holds as an organization, have helped you contribute or build up the international scale of the business that you have managed to reach? Because you've shared already. I mean, it's quite huge geospan. So
I had, the first thing was that I had the opportunity to visit other JCI chapters. So which was very, if you have a long project, for instance, 11 months in the UK, so you can knock on JCI doors, and we have a pin and usually say, I'm also here, I'm a JCI, and yes, you can see on my pin here, and so I just want to visit you. And of course, you get a lot of additional skills. So you said already, I love also history. This is my icebreaker in a project, but also when you have a lot of people with a common ground, yeah, and JCIs everywhere in the world, many of them have common grounds regardless from which country you are. So you have this entrepreneurship, this development feeling, this mentoring if you're a more experienced member, and this helps a lot. So, and of course you learn a lot of things about different cultures, behaviors, which is quite important, because even in the German-speaking countries, Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, we have totally different tempers, and and you can't treat a Swiss or an Austrian like a German. Yeah, so that's not even possible. And if you go, of course, outside of this German-speaking bubble, into other countries, to Italy, to Spain, or United Kingdom, yeah. So the language, you have to be sometimes very careful. So how you say things, yeah, in a different way, and that was very important. So this gave me a lot of insights, and to see, for instance, also the US JCs, which also have a totally different approach, or Indian JCIs. I did also once an online course for a junior chapter, mentored by a elite chapter in Tamil Nadu.
Mm-hmm.
So southeastern part of India, which was possible with Zoom, of course. So,
so you would say that JCI helped you land more safely in the international kind of cultural diversity. I mean, how to talk, what to say, what not to say, or to be more tolerant of those people when you meet them.
Yes,
So you
absolutely.
just took out my words. I also wanted
Sorry.
to ask that.
Sorry, Kaija. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's absolutely right, because this is also, but you have open-minded people.
Oh, it's okay. Yes, yes.
And therefore, it's the same. It's the same mindset. So you have a good starting point to have the discussions then, and it's easier to get into the country.
Yeah, it's much more safe. Kaija, you still with us, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
because you
it's
froze for a little.
you as well.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, like, it's good. Can we resume the interview and please proceed with another question of yours?
So it will be again about JCI and business. So you mentioned that you have traveled and you have worked a lot also in other countries. Do you have business partners from JCI?
I have business partners, interesting wise, not abroad, but in Germany. We have also a business list, and this is an absolutely trust manner. So you're looking for some information for security, for instance. So for internet security boxes, for instance. Yeah, it's also JCI here, even in Bavaria, but in northern Bavaria. And it was not a question for me to go to a different company, because we have a common ground. We are both JCIs. And so, you give the contract to such a person. Or even here in Augsburg, I have a gentleman working together with also in IT, Microsoft environment. So it's just easy. You just turn your head in this direction. Yeah. So this is what I have. So but I try also to open doors. So if somebody from Bulgaria, from Estonia, from Lithuania comes to me, of course, and says, okay, can you open some doors, or can you give me a recommendation? That's also part of our duty. Yeah, I would say so, really, to open doors, and this helps a lot. So this I have managed, so not directly abroad, but inside Germany, yes.
And are
Would
you
you
still?
like to expand abroad?
Sorry?
Would you like to expand your business with JCIs abroad?
I think this can happen very quickly. So I have some things already in mind, for instance, with Mongolia, because they have a particular interest in Germany, and we have a partnership also with JCI Mongolia, with some of JCI Mongolia, and I will try to connect them, for instance, with our local fair, to say, okay, if they can hold, for instance, a German-Mongolian fair for connecting people again. So it's more indirect because I'm doing the implementations and for customers directly, mostly on site. But of course, if I need a proper partner, for instance, then this comes really quick. Yeah, so it's more like this. So, and we are still doing these approaches, and this is what we really try to use in positive ways, the network. Yeah.
And are you still actively involved in the not only at senatorship level events, I mean, but in JCI with your local chapter, with the national chapter? I mean, do you go help them answer questions if they have, etc., or you stay only on the senator level?
No, actually, when I'm asked, but only when I'm asked, because this is a credo in the German Senate. You don't involve yourself if you are too old, so 40 or sometimes 45, depends a little bit on the chapter. 45 is an unofficial threshold, because that's only done for internal jobs. So you can't become president with 45 anymore. That's not possible, of course. This is where we abide to the rules and say 40, that's it. But if you're asked afterwards for help, for advice, then yes. And we have some also larger projects where every helping hand is needed. So if you host an event with 400 to 500 people, not a conference at all. Yeah, it was an event which my chapter did, and of course they needed every helping hand. And of course, that's it. Or we have an alumni club, so the older ones. I'm one of the older ones.
This is when you came in.
I'm there. So for we had 70 years anniversary this year, and of course I helped to organize an event for this 70 years birthday of our chapter.
Very, very good. Kai, you have a question in mind you want to ask, or?
No, not right now.
Okay, I want to ask you how you put, because I want to put a little bit of different perspective on the conversation, and relating to the gardening, to the hobbies you have that are much more kind of hands-on experience than like compared to the intellectual work you're doing as in your business, in all the diverse activities. How important do you think those hands-on activities are and have been in your career? Do you still practice them? How much of your time do they take? And do you think, I mean, do you have a recommendation to others that you think that might be given now to help them advance easier in their careers, business, and entrepreneurship, etc.?
Yeah, it's very important that you have a kind of counterbalance in this. So I do also, of course, more in the summertime, not in the wintertime, together with my wife, the gardening, and it's very satisfying. It's sometimes more like a meditation work, even if you have to clean up a little bit the garden, whatever you have to do, or looking after the plants. We grow a lot of things for ourselves during summertime, to vegetables, to eat them, so to have them really out of the garden into the bowl and preparing a salad, for instance. And this is very important. Also, we have a second home in the Alps, which is just across the border to Austria, and even our children, which are 20 and 24. So really the iPhone generation and generations that they are turning off their devices and really calm down. So this is very important because, as you said, I'm doing nearly it's 100% intellectual work. So with the exception perhaps of a stock take of a customer, when I also run around a little bit. But so that's and it's very important that you have a balance in this, because otherwise you become entangled in a bubble. And to do something physical, this is really what you need. So and you don't need a workout to go to a gym. Yeah. So the human body is made also for physical work, and therefore it's important. And also take out your time from the digital overflow. So, which is quite interesting. That also our young men, which we have, so both sons, yeah, so that they deliberately put off their smartphones, because they have all the opportunities, yeah, to get all these information. They are really the digital natives, not like myself. And that's very important, that you really take your time, even if it's not on a regular base. Try to do it on a regular base, but even if it's not possible, really switch off your devices, do some manual work, do some cooking. I also like cooking, so the whole family, actually, also both boys, yeah, so they also like cooking, and also I like eating, but anyway, and so it's very important, not only being the chef at the grill, yeah, at the barbecue, really proper cooking. And it's also, again, manual work, yeah, so you create something with your hands and you see something. So, and that's also, I think, very important. So really you have to find a balance in this.
Yeah, this is very, very, I mean, it was very interesting to me, I believe, and to the viewers, to hear more about this perspective of yours. Good. Kaija, you shoot a question, please.
And so, having all this knowledge what you have in business, in JCI, and even in balancing life, hobbies, business, JCI, family, what would be your maybe suggestion to JCI members, how they should be more active, let's say, in JCI, at the same time to go and do their business, be active there, and to balance everything among family as well?
Yeah, it's a first thing is that you take as much time as you like. So it's not that if you see an example of somebody else who's putting more time in their JCI activities, so it must suit to yourself. That's the first thing. So it's not. We have a chapter member which is a helping hand since before 2000, yeah, but he's always there to help out. He's the one who organizes, for instance, the Harley drive outs when we have a big conference here in Germany, so in Augsburg, yeah. So it's a person, but he dedicates his time mostly for the local activities. So this is the first thing which I would recommend. You find your slot. It must not be the international, because for me it became natural, because I have been traveling and I'm traveling still abroad, so it comes in automatically. So that's a big benefit and a privilege. Second is that you say, okay, JCI and work. You learn a lot of things within JCI, also sometimes for free, which is usually very expensive if you book a training or a specific knowledge course, especially in your personal development. So this also helps you. And then, of course, never forget that you have perhaps a partner. So, yeah, and then take them, for instance, to the Christmas due, to the summer due, which we have. So, and this is also a good way to show them what's going on in JCI and to have an understanding. So it's always very important that your partner understands at least what's going on. They must not be involved, yeah. So my wife is really rarely involved. So only on special occasions, when we went up to Tallinn, for instance, she had a particular interest in the city, making more sightseeing, yeah. So so therefore I was not so active in the conference or in the World Congress itself, but or we went to Jersey, not to New Jersey, to Jersey, to Channel Island, to the British Senate, because she was also interested in the island, and she was highly welcomed in this group, yeah. So and this is what you really have to balance. So don't and the most important part, it's voluntary work. So if your business is at stake, business comes first. If your family is at stake, family, for me at least, comes at the very first, and then business, and then JCI. So this is also my
the order. The
My
order.
order, yeah. So that's
They
very
set
German.
priorities.
No, but
So
that's very, very good. I mean, I will make a note here. Like I've seen chapters around the world where I've been engaged to in a way before that I see people that are still haven't settled up their things, and they try to overlap with other things that are further ahead. I mean, and that's not the way. I mean, you cannot help others if you need help. I mean, you're right. I mean, family business. I mean, then comes the volunteership, etc. So very, very good point of yours. uh, and I have one question, like what would be the one thing that comes to your mind that when you hear the word JCI? I mean, feeling, place, person, skill.
it's a feeling of the common ground of the same mindset. So if you meet the right people, yeah. So of course, not everybody in JCI worldwide. We are too large for this as an
Yeah.
organization, but I would say the majority, it's that you have these the same feeling, the same common ground. You meet people, and you immediately have a certain touch with them, and that's quite unique. So I have met people, for instance, via Zoom for 2.5 years, from Canada, Shirley Mosher, for instance, and I
Yeah.
have met her then in Bruges, yeah, at the European conference,
Yeah.
and there was an immediate understanding. Or with Patrizia Ronconi, she's a multi JCI, France, Switzerland, and Italy. She's an Italian lady, and it was also an immediate understanding. So it's amazing. So yeah, wherever you go. So and we are still building bridges. That's also important.
Yeah. Very, very good. Kaija, you have final questions?
Final question is then about value, what you can or what you what you can name that you brought from JCI to your business. One or two values, skills.
So the value is that you have to the trust, yeah. So that you have to work on a trusted base, and the open-mindedness actually. So it's if you try something out, yeah, then you get a different point of perspective. So I have done this also in my project, also in the past, that I always wanted to have also a mixed group in my core team. So males, females, different ages, skills, and so on. And this is has been emphasized by if you deal with JCIs, yeah, and you never know who's in front of you, yeah. So it's and that's so also be a little bit curious what's going on here. So yeah, so like a child, so no, and ask the question why, which can be sometimes very unnerving, but it's very good also for projects. So if people are too settled, so you ask them, why are you doing this? For instance, Temelko, yeah, why are you doing a certain way of work? If you can't explain, you ask like a child, why?
Yeah,
This is also very important.
Andreas, is there something that you want to share, that you want to say, like not us asking you, but you want to share something like freestyle with the audience that is watching this interview?
Yeah, for me, it's to be a senatorship is also what I have also in the background. Leading is our duty, and I think also our duty in the Senate is also to be available as mentors. You asked me before, like, are you involved in your chapter work? Not actively, but on particular cases, or if I'm asked to. And I think that's the biggest value, and also that this unique blend which we have in JCI, your personal development, the network which you have, you can do business, but don't have to make business, but it's also a possibility. And and I think this is very unique, and really to try to delve into this network and to get connected there. That's for me really the thing. And wherever you go, at least in the most parts of the world, you can just knock friendly on doors and ask, here I'm also JCI. Do you have some really local tips, which is also very good? And and I think that's an amazing value, yeah. And you really warm yourself much quicker up also with the country, and you get much more insights. And this is for me very important. So if you travel, for instance, tomorrow to Germany, Temelko, you know that you are invited then for at least to get a guided tour. Or if you go to Kaija, you also know where we have to hook up, yeah, and to say, okay, where's perhaps the best pub you would recommend, yeah. So and things like this, and then on top, if you do business with JCI, I would say it's a different level of trust, yeah, because you can very openly discuss a lot of matters, so also which are sometimes very difficult to discuss with your staff, but your counterpart is a JCI, also a business owner. He or she will then also have perhaps the same concerns like you have, or challenges, and this you can discuss on a very different level. And this I have seen, or I've done this also in the past on the local business here in Augsburg, but also sometimes also internationally, when you say, okay, I have these challenges, how would you approach it? And this comes also just perhaps with only beer as a payment. So that's also very nice.
A great community.
I totally agree with you. Thank you for that.
Very, very good. Okay, Andreas, thank you so much for making the time, making the efforts, and being with us, with Kaija and me, for this interview. We will leave more contact details beneath the interview here for everybody that want to get in contact with you or ask any further questions on the topics that we have touched. Thank you again, and we will be seeing each other, me and Kaija, with our next guest during the next interview. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, Temelko.
Thank you, Kaija. Thank you, Temelko.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.